Do you want to know how to get a good deal on a good guitar on AliExpress? It's possible. Stick around and I'll tell you. Hey guys, in case you don't know, AliExpress is a website where you can buy stuff from manufacturers in China and they'll ship it to you here in the US. So of course they sell guitars and all kinds of musical accessories, parts, whatever, but they also sell just about anything else. Toys, clothes, whatever. But today we're here to talk about guitars. And I have purchased several guitars off of AliExpress and I have not been disappointed even once. I've also purchased a bunch of guitar parts. Probably more than 100 items total that I've purchased from AliExpress over the past year and a half or so. The very first thing that I ordered from AliExpress was this guitar right here. Check it out. Now it says Fender Stratocaster, but guess what? It's not a Fender Stratocaster. It's a replica. But let me show you the other guitars that I've also gotten from AliExpress. My second guitar was this one. It is a replica of an Ibanez Destroyer based on the model made famous by Phil Collen from Def Leppard back in 1983, minus the Kahler Tremolo, of course. This is my Les Paul replica. And this one, like the other one, this was not a standard guitar that they were advertising on the page. Every guitar that I've ordered, except for the very first one, the Stratocaster, I've always done a custom order, explaining to the seller exactly what I wanted it to look like, the colors, the pickup configuration, the hardware, everything. Everything was done custom according to what I requested, including this guitar. So this one was meant to be a replica of one of the Les Pauls that Steve Clark used back in the mid-80s during the Pyromania days. And here's one cool thing that I did. You see the serial number there. The serial number is Steve's initials and his birth date as a tribute to Steve. And let me tell you, this guitar turned out fantastic. So this guitar, this is my Lynch Sub Camo replica that I painted myself. I did ask the seller if they were able to do a graphic paint job like this, and they pretty much said no. You know, they can't do really anything or everything, just about, but the graphics they couldn't. So what I did on this one is I had him make me the body and the neck, and that was it. So they sent me the body and the neck, and then I ordered all the parts, the pickups, the Floyd Rose, everything else, and I painted it myself and assembled it myself. And here is my awesome Lynch Sub Camo replica. And this is my most recent one. This is a replica of one of the Racer X guitars from the late 80s, made famous by Paul Gilbert and Bruce Boyer. All right, so let's get down to it. How can you get a good quality guitar on AliExpress for a good price without getting completely ripped off and without receiving some piece of junk in the mail? Well, number one, most important thing is obviously finding the right seller and builder. Same person, basically. When you go on the website or the app and you start searching for guitars, you're going to see that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of sellers. And most of them claim that they are a custom shop and they will do a custom order for you and they can make changes to the guitar and they can do pretty much anything that you ask for. But that's not necessarily true with every seller. The first thing that I always look for is their percentage rating. What is their positive percentage rating? Look for it. You'll see it on the product listing page. You'll see it on their store page. I would not do business with any seller that has below 90%. Absolutely not. And I would prefer to only deal with somebody who's probably 95 or above. And also make sure you go in there and read some of the reviews. See what other people are telling you about the seller. If they got a good deal, if they are happy with the transaction, if their guitar turned out awesome. And if you see a lot of good reviews like that, then you might start to feel pretty good about this particular seller. Then your next step, guys, is to send them a message. Now there are a few things that can happen once you send them a message. So you send them a message asking them something about either the guitar that they have listed there for sale, or just a question about, hey, I'm trying to get this particular guitar built. Can you do this for me? So what we're checking for here, guys, is how fast do they respond, or do they even respond at all? Of course, if they don't answer your message at all, forget it. You're not dealing with that guy. If they take a long time to answer you, a week, even several days, 5 days, I wouldn't deal with that seller either. You want somebody that's going to get back to you within 24 hours usually. And it's also important how they answer your questions. If they seem a little wishy-washy and they're like, well, I don't really know, let me check, I need to find out. Because I've had guys where I've asked them a question and they say, let me find out. And then it takes them several days. Sometimes they never come back and tell me, or it takes a week, or I have to message them and say, hey, what, did you ever find out? And they're like, oh, yeah. But if you can get a guy on there and you can ask him a question and he's the guy who answers the question, he doesn't need to check with somebody else, then that's another good indicator that it's probably a good store to deal with. All right, how much should you be paying for a guitar from AliExpress? I'm going to say it should be right around the $300 mark, maybe even a little bit less than $300. Every guitar that I've ordered has been less than $300. And those were even with custom orders. So, you are confident that you have found your seller, you've communicated with him, you've sent messages, he's given you prompt, good answers, you're feeling good about it, and now you're ready to place your order for your guitar. My best advice on this is have lots of pictures ready. A lot of pictures that show exactly what you want. Don't assume anything about the guitar. Don't assume it's going to have a certain feature. Don't assume anything on the measurements. What's the measurement at the nut? How many frets is it? What's the scale length? What kind of bridge is it? Where do you want the volume knob? Where do you want the pickup selector? You need to be specific about every single feature on that guitar, because if you're not, it might not be what you want, or it might not be what you expect. And then the seller is going to go like, well, you didn't tell me that's how you wanted it, so I just did it how we normally do it. So you need to be very specific about everything. A few things to consider here, guys. What I've found is that they don't really have a lot of options on the size of the fret wire. What I run into when I've asked about, can I get like jumbo fret wire? Because I prefer Dunlop 6100. And when I've asked about that, I've pretty much gotten the response like, oh, it's a standard size. So I think they just kind of have one fret wire size, at least the guy I've been dealing with, and it's kind of a medium sized fret wire. It's not bad, but it's not as big as the 6100. And then the other thing you really need to try to be specific about, and hopefully they can match your request, it's the neck profile. Because you could get a really narrow, thin shaped neck profile, or you could end up with something that's like really thick and beefy. And maybe you prefer one or the other, so really try to specify that with the seller. Okay, what about pickups, electronics, hardware, all that kind of stuff? Remember, you're getting this guitar for probably less than $300, so they're not using a lot of expensive, high-quality electronics in it. Almost for sure, you're going to want to swap out the pickups. You might want to change the wiring, you might want to change the pots. I haven't had to do that because I've found that the seller I use, he already uses pretty good pots and wiring and there's no issue there. I've seen some people say that they want to change the tuners, or they want to put on locking tuners, or maybe they want to change the saddles in the bridge, or just small things like that. And then the other major thing is the fretwork. So this is, of course, this is also going to depend on which seller you're getting this guitar from. Do they do any fretwork before they send it off to you? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But after you receive the guitar, you might need to do a fret level and dress so that you can get the action low without a lot of fret buzz.
Alright guys, that's it. So if you have any experience getting a guitar from AliExpress, good or bad, let me know down in the comments. See you next time.
into the fire. I'm falling into the fire.